who are the three heads of the dragon? Now, this is a question that many people from the fandom have debated over and over, year after year after year. And I myself have gone back and forth on this matter. So right now, I'm going to give you my feelings of where I'm currently at and why I believe that these three people are the three heads of the dragon. So the three heads of the dragon represent Aegon, Visenya, and his sister Daenerys, all who are dragon riders. So we can assume that this will be repeated. So we first must understand that all three heads of the dragon must be dragon riders. Now, in order to be a dragon rider, you must have Valyrian blood. So our contenders, whoever they might be, must have this. Second, I think we can also look at the descriptions of the dragons themselves to see who will ride them. So going on those 2 points is what I'm going to use to come up with who are the three heads of the dragon. So I think we know who the three heads of the dragon were. Alright, now Aerys II, who is also known as the Mad King or King Scab, him and his wife Rhaella had three heads of the dragon, and they were Rhaegar, Viserys, and Daenerys. Now 2 of those heads were killed, Rhaegar and Viserys, so only one is left, Daenerys, and that is head number 1, Daenerys. And I think that we all agree that Daenerys is head number 1. We've seen her ride a dragon before. And I think that we can also agree that her brothers, Viserys and Rhaegar, would have been the other dragon riders by the fact that she named 2 of the dragons after them, Viserion and Rhaego. Now the other one she named after her husband, Drogon, is the one Dany does ride. Drogon is believed to be the reincarnation of Balerion the Black Dread. Now Drogon is described as black and blood red. His eyes are smoldering red pitch. Drogon's flame is black fire shot with red, and he bleeds black blood. Now this is the colors of House Targaryen. So this is another reason why we know that Dany is supposed to ride Drogon. And since Drogon is supposed to be the reincarnation of Balerion the Black Dread, which was Aegon the Conqueror's dragon, we can assume that Dany is playing the role of Aegon. And this supports the fact that we are looking for 2 male riders and not 1 male, 1 female rider. So Dany gets a vision in the House of Undying explaining the 3 heads of the dragon.
Viserys was her first thought the next time she paused, but a second glance told her otherwise. The man had her brother's hair, but he was taller, and his eyes were a dark indigo rather than lilac. "Aegon," he told a woman, nursing a newborn babe in a great wooden bed. "What better name for a king?" "Will you make a song for him?" the woman asked. "He has a song," the man replied. "He is the prince that was promised, and his is the song of ice and fire." He looked up when he said it, and his eyes met Dany's, and it seemed as if he saw her standing there beyond the door. "There must be one more," he said, though whether he was speaking to her or the woman in the bed she could not say. "The dragon has 3 heads." He went to the window seat, picked up a harp, and ran his fingers lightly over its silvery strings. Sweet sadness filled the room as man and wife and babe faded like the morning mist, only the music lingering behind to speed her on her way.
So Rhaegar names his son Aegon as one of the heads of the dragon, but we know he's killed by the mountain, or he supposedly was killed by the mountain. Rhaegar then says the dragon has 3 heads. Dany thinks he's talking to her. So this means he wasn't talking to his wife, so I don't think his wife heard him make that statement. So I think that is why when it says that his sweet sadness, yes, he is happy that he had a baby, but he knows he needs 1 more, and he knows his wife is sickly and she cannot have another. Now, I think that this prophecy right at this particular time was meant to show Dany that he had another child, and because I think that she will meet the man claiming to be Aegon before she meets Jon Snow. And yes, I do believe Jon is the 2nd head of the dragon, and I think he will drive the dragon that is named after his father Rhaego. Now the description of Rhaego is he is green and bronze, as green as moss, dark, dark green, and they say that he gleams like jade. His teeth are straight black. His eyes are bronze, brighter than polished shields, and they glow from their own heat. Now I think his colors serve two folds here. First, the green. I think if Bran is to walk a dragon, it would be Rhaego. Bran is a green seer, and Rhaego is described as green as moss. And I think it could be many reasons why Bran does this, but I think the main reason would be that if the horn does work and they lose control of the dragons, I think Bran may have to walk into the dragon to bring it back under control. The color bronze. Now the bronze is always associated with the old kings of winter. Their crown was made of bronze because living in the north is hard and not glamorous. That is why they did not use gold or anything like that. And I think the old kings of winter are associated with Jon Snow. So that is why I believe Jon Snow is the second head of the dragon. Now that brings us to the third head, and I think that this is the head that is really the most debated. Now I've heard many people. I've heard Brown Ben Plum. I've heard Melisandre. I've heard Tyrion. I've heard Aegon. I've heard the Hound. I've heard Arya. I've heard so many people, but let's really look at it and see who could it be. First thing you must have, we know, is Valyrian blood. So the Hound has none of the blood that we know of. Melisandre has none of this blood that we know of, and Arya has none of this blood that we know of. So we can knock them all right. Now Brown Ben Plum does have some Targaryen blood. The dragons are attracted to him, but I think that is just to point out that you have to have some Targaryen blood to ride the dragon. In all honesty, Brown Ben Plum is too small of a character for such an important role. There's no way they're going to have an obscure character be the third head of the dragon. So Brown Ben Plum is out. Now that leaves Tyrion and Aegon. Now, Rhaegar says that Aegon is the third head of the dragon, but he was killed. Now I don't believe he is that child, and I think we could also point to George R. R. Martin's words on this matter of the three heads of the dragon to also give us some further information on it. Now George R. R. Martin specifically said that the three heads need not be Targaryen. So I believe that this means that the last dragon rider will not have the last name Targaryen, which means Aegon, to me, is a Blackfyre. So yes, he does have the blood, but we see that Dany is in the house of the Undying.
Mother of dragons, slayer of lies.
And I think that the lie she has to slay is the one of the Mummer's dragon, which is Varys' dragon, who is Aegon. And also, from what I can see, he is not in the show. They have not casted him. They do not plan on casting him. So I would think if someone was to ride a dragon, that person would have to be in the show. But for that reason, I'm going to say that Aegon is not the third head of the dragon. So the last candidate that I have is Tyrion. Now Tyrion doesn't have the blood if you believe he's a true Lannister. But if he is the son of the Mad King, this would give him the blood. And many people believe he is the son of the Mad King. There is proof that it is possible that his mother did have an affair with the Mad King. So this would give him the blood. Now, we must look at the dragon itself. The Viserion scales are cream, but his horns, wings, bone, and spinal crest are gold colored. His teeth are shining black daggers. His eyes are two pools of molten gold, and his flame is pale gold. Viserion has a roar that would send 100 lions running. Although his true color is cream, he is often referred to as the White Dragon. So, if we are to believe that the maker of the dragon helps make up the rider, it's easy to see that this dragon is meant for Tyrion. Number one, he is the smallest dragon. Number two, he's colored gold. His eyes are referred to as molten gold. Number three, they say his roar would send 100 lions running. Number four, although his true color is cream, he's often referred to as the White Dragon. And we get this interaction from Tyrion with a white dragon. The white side-lash dragon ended up at Tyrion's feet. He scooped it off the carpet and wiped it on his sleeve, but some of the youngest blood had collected in the fine grooves of the carving, so the pale wood seemed veined with red. Also, the dragon was named for Dany's brother, who was killed by molten gold. Not to mention the fact that Tyrion is the one who makes the saddle for Bran to ride a horse. So when I look at all that, and I put it all together, from everything that I've seen, the only way I could spell it out for you is that the three heads of the dragon are Daenerys, Jon, and Tyrion. So if you like the way I do this, please thumbs up this. Please share it across the realm, and please subscribe. And until next time, you know who it is. Peace! And stay sexy.